Hey, this is Will Lombardi, and I'm down at the Capitol Arts Gallery in Quincy. And I'm here with Liz Swindell, who's the featured artist this month. And I was at your opening, Liz, and it was a ton of fun. And you had the place packed. What was that feeling like?
Oh, it was super fun. It was, on the cusp of wonderful and intimidating to see that many community members.
What was wonderful?
A lot of great comments and feedback and hugs, and this community is so important to me that it was wonderful to see everyone.
Yeah, and what was intimidating?
Well, it's always intimidating when you present your work in the public eye, and just trying to connect with that many people and be gracious as a host.
Yeah, and you worked the room.
Yeah, thank you.
I poured the wine.
Yeah, thanks.
You've had shows in town before.
This is my second.
How long ago was your first?
It was a year ago.
Uh-huh.
So that was my first. It was at Bear Creek Frames.
Yeah.
And a similar idea, a limited time frame collection of work.
And we should talk about that. We're kind of in the present, and we'll hopefully sort of work back to the past.
Great.
But as long as we're here in the moment discussing this opening, it's like spectacularly vibrant and colorful. It's bursting. But you told me before we started talking that were you purposeful, or were you a procrastinator? You did this work in a short amount of time. Mm-hmm. Was that with intent?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the way my work schedule is, as an entrepreneur, I have free time in the winter. So as much as I'd like to paint year-round every day, I just don't have the time. So I really knew all year, like, okay, I'm going to give it to myself, a gift to myself in the winter. Time to hunker, time to create. It's a great time to get colorful because the world gets a little gray and sometimes white. So yeah, I gave myself New Year's till, I hung the show April 1st. So I think I finished the last piece. Well, actually, I think I hung on the 3rd and finished on the 1st.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was definitely jam-packed in. And
do you know the last one you worked on?
Yeah, actually, the one you were looking at, the Yarrow one.
Uh-huh.
That was a last-minute ad.
All right. Well, I'm glad you made it because I really like that piece.
Oh, thank you.
You say that you sort of hunker down every winter because that's when you have time. But I feel like you are working in the sketchbook constantly. Yeah?
Totally,
So
yes.
can you maybe talk about your practice if you've set aside this productive period in terms of finished work? Mm-hmm. Can you talk about your sort of yearly, daily, monthly, whatever practice that you're following?
Absolutely. So since high school, which was a couple years ago now, I've been a sketchbook keeper. It was mandated in my high school practice, but it's become part of my personal practice, my mindfulness, my religion, if you will, of experimenting, expressing. So I keep books. They usually are about a year that I'll have a book. And I love that space because there are no rules. I don't show them unless I choose to, but no one's expecting anything of me. I'm not holding myself to any rules, completion, messes. It's just so free. So I leave it out. I have a table in my my studio, office, partner's closet room, and I just leave it out, and I just leave materials all over the table. So if I have 5 minutes, if I have half an hour, if I have 2 hours, I can just hunker down.
And are you taking it into the field as well?
Sometimes I actually prefer to do plein air on small cutout pieces of watercolor paper. So that's kind of another collection that I own, and they live in this little bag, and it's my travel.
And those,
companion.
though, are also more of the sketchbook variety versus the completed piece?
Yeah, in that they're fast. Probably, you know, watercolor when done outside in plein air, you're competing with the sun, and in the summer, really warm temperatures, so you don't have time. It's pretty quick, it's pretty committing. So where these are, you know, some of them really heavily rendered and many, many hours went into it, they're typically 1 to 2 hour studies.
Yeah, I see. So the study.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the sketchbook, you have the study, and you've got the completed work.
Mm-hmm.
And do those sketches, do those studies form the basis for completed works, or is there an idea contained in them that you're working out that becomes something entirely different yet is still present in a completed work? How does all that come together for you? Because what I hear you saying is you've got your art, but it's also this other form of mindfulness, and I'm trying to think of, I suppose, your process or your practice, which also might be connected to something else too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. So a lot of these, or elements of these finished pieces, you'll find in my sketchbooks.
Mm-hmm.
The growth rings, which are down there, the log-inspired ones, I think there's 3 sketchbook pages of that work, of playing with the rings of a log and space and thinking about time and age. Is that a way of explaining it? And often like the small motifs or the layering or the exploration with layers happens in the sketchbook. And then I'll do something and be like, ooh, this is good, and I'll bring that forward to a finished piece. So it's kind of as if the sketchbook is a year of studies that then could help me formulate the finished work.
And it keeps the muscle strong for when you're really going to sit down and like, now I am producing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love it. So you began this practice out of high school, where, as you say, it was mandated. What compelled you to carry it forth?
What a fun one. I love them. I love my bookshelf of sketchbooks. I return to them, I pull them out and flip through them and remember. It's also a visual journal, it's a time journey. I can see, this was my first year of teaching. This was that year where I was really underemployed and things were hard, and you can see it there. I love that. And I think part of that, seeing them on the shelf next to each other, is part of why I keep making them. It's a chronological, artistic history.
I did that with my own poetry. And then one year, I destroyed them.
Intentionally?
Yeah. And I can't say exactly why, in the moment it seemed like the right thing to do. And there was maybe a period that I missed them, and now I don't even miss them. I'm glad that they were there. But I know that satisfaction of, here is my work, not my finished work, but here is a collective document of my labors as this person. Yet none of what you're describing, these are is it a diary? This is the other side of what you're talking about. You're saying it's a mindfulness thing as much as it is an artistic practice.
Yeah.
When you see those on your shelf and it's your work, but it's the studio recordings, not the finished ones, whatever.
Totally.
Right? What are you're remembering moments, but is there something else involved in that too, do you think, or am I pushing too hard on it?
Well, no, I think there's layers. And I use the word layers a lot. I create with layers. I work with layers. I think our experience are layered. I will sometimes straight out journal you know, just vent to the page with Word and completely paint over it. So it's there, it's underneath. I also...
What is that? That's a palimpsest?
that is something called something.
Something close to it. So can you see the writing through, like, do you use a watercolor?
So sometimes you can, and sometimes it's acrylic. It's like, well, I don't want anyone to see that, but I got it out of me. I also will dwell on a single word a lot. So if one word has just been showing up a lot, I will paint it and color around it and doodle, but I'm marinating on that idea while I'm doing it. So I'm in, you know, it's typically quiet. I'm in this space. I'm creating, but also in thought.
And I see there are words on, you know, down at
I did
this
include
end.
some in here because that is something I do a lot.
So then if that's where you're coming from now, that's how we see these works we see, can you talk about your training? Can you talk about sort of early successes or failures, or that moment when you were like, I'm not just going to continue this journal forward, but this is really who I am? Was there that moment?
Artist as an identifier came early to me in high school. I was secure in that. I went to art school right after college, and to be a painter. I declared major right away. I was going to be a painter. And my first semester, my painting teacher told me I had a bad eye for color.
All right.
And I
Yeah,
dropped.
that's super helpful.
So helpful. I dropped painting. I went to sculpture. I started working with a chainsaw. I started working with plaster. I worked huge. I was interested in lighting and full experiences in creating installations. And it was really fun, but it didn't, you know, it's hard to be an installation artist in your day-to-day work.
Yeah.
And, you know, my journey took lots of turns and into education and grad school. And painting is just very accessible, you know, and that teacher didn't know what she was talking about.
Well, I was going to say, you know, I started this is very
Because I
colorful.
love color.
And so what did you do? Did you say, I'm not a chainsaw artist, you know? I am a painter, and this is where my heart is. And did you have a chip on your shoulder about color, and that's why this is so colorful now? Or what do you think?
Ooh, that'd be fun to dig into a little. I don't know the answer. I haven't really thought about it. I did finish with a sculpture degree, not a painting degree, but always have just loved to explore with paint. And it just feels easy and welcoming. And I did make a statement about that teacher about a year ago, because it just kept coming up.
Yeah.
I was like, man, it was funny. I put it on Facebook, and I had 2 other people from that class, which was 2005, reach out and had similar experience. And I was like, wow, the power of your words.
Yeah. Do you think that they were trying to achieve something, or do you think they were insensitive?
I think she was mean.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know. I didn't stick with her long
yeah.
enough to really get to know her.
I can't imagine as an instructor ever, like, you know what? You just should quit writing. Like, I would never say that. And I don't think I would ever even think that, you know? I would imagine how expression matters and can evolve, you know? I would hope, I would think that.
Yeah.
So, you return to painting. You've spoken of watercolors. What is your medium?
I was painting a mural this morning.
Yeah.
I was in the pottery studio yesterday for 3 hours. I don't want to pick one. I can't possibly. I'm really excited about paper mache right now and don't know when I'm going to have time, but I'm just a multidisciplinary artist.
Yeah.
And I think doing time as a high school art teacher, you get to do everything. That was a really good fit for me, and it really clarified that I'm not going to identify as anyone.
Yeah, and I asked you, it's funny, before this interview, I said, do you want to explore a mission statement or anything, you know, and maybe it sounds like, I don't know, what is your mission then? Or what is your vision? Or is this an end game? Is there a word that drove this show? Is there a concept that's driving the mural, which I hope to talk about. Like what is happening? Do you wait for lightning to strike, or are you being more conscious in what's driving you? Have you tried to write that statement?
Not in a long time.
Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot now.
Yeah. I'm just creating is in me. It like needs to come out of me. It's what I do. It's my mental health practice.
Yeah.
So it changes, and I think the diversity of it really just lights me up. And the fact that we get to do it any kind of way we want.
Yeah.
And maybe to the detriment of my craft. Like maybe if I picked one, I could be really good. And I muddle with that a lot.
Do you?
Yeah.
At like 2 a.m?
Yeah. Man, I want that, just struggling.
Have you had shows elsewhere?
I have. It's been a long time. I used to try to do one a year. And it's funny now, looking back on those works, I'm like, whew, I've come a long way.
Well, that's kind of what I'm wondering what sorts of feedback you're getting, and, oh, you should stick with painting, or whatever, right?
Totally.
So I know that we're running a bit low on time now, and this has been like super engaging.
Absolutely.
But I want to know about the mural, because you're painting with someone.
Yeah.
It's being funded with public monies. Can you talk about how that came about and what you're working on right now?
Totally. So I'm working with another local artist, Tina Thorman, who goes by Trixie Hollyhocks, an amazing painter. We've worked together in other ways over in Grey Eagle and just became good friends. So the grant we went for was hosted through Plumas Arts. It's through the California Arts Council, the Upstate Arts Coalition, right?
That's close.
Yeah.
That's close.
Something like that. Jeez. So it's the northern region, they're calling the upstate region of California. Anyway, the state came up with this funding with the idea of funding artists directly to try to stimulate economy. So Tina and I went in on this mural together. It's based off a sticker I made as a Dixie Fire fundraiser that said Plumas County Love, and it's the shape of the county.
Yeah.
So we went with that. Oh, good. We went with that, and we've blown it up, made it bigger. We had a really big idea, which was to put one all over the county and have like a map tour of finding all the Plumas County Love murals. Making a mural is kind of a big process. So we're starting with this one in the county seat, which is just around the corner. And it's big and it's bold and it's bright and it's colorful, which aligns with my work, also with Tina's work.
Yeah.
We have similar color palettes.
And she's a muralist.
She's a muralist.
In many respects, I feel like.
Yeah. But also multidisciplinary
Yeah.
like me. But she's taught me, a lot already. Like washing the wall. We washed the wall the other day, and I was like, but just skip that.
Yeah, just go for it. And so you started yesterday.
Yeah, so Sunday we came in the dark and projected the image and sketched it out in the dark. And we started laying paint yesterday.
All right.
So we'll have a couple public events for that, and meet the artists, kind of closing ceremony, and then art for everyone.
I love it, Liz. So is there anything that we haven't covered that you'd like to say?
No, it's an honor to show in Plumas Arts. It's since I moved to town, it was something I wanted to do, and I'm grateful and proud that I got to do it.
Yeah, great. No, I love this space, and it's fun to do these interviews every month. We're going to get to do some short snippets looking at a few of these images as well, so I'm excited about that. Thanks, Liz.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers.